The quantum sensors at SETI's Mauna Kea Observatory picked up the signal at 3:47 a.m. Hawaiian time. Dr. Sarah Chen was about to end her shift when the arrays lit up like a Christmas tree. At first, she thought it was another glitch. They'd been getting those ever since the installation of the new quantum detection grid. But this was different. The pattern was too ordered, too precise. Within hours, every major observatory across the globe confirmed it. The signal wasn't just coherent. It was a cry for help. The message repeated in perfect mathematical sequences that translated into a universal language of physics and chemistry. A vast civilization calling itself the Concordat was reaching out, claiming their network of worlds faced an imminent crisis that threatened the fabric of space-time itself. Admiral David Torres stood in the United Earth Defense Command Center, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of the signal's origin. At 53, he'd spent 3 decades preparing humanity for potential first contact. Now that it had arrived, something felt off. "Play it again," he ordered, and Dr. Chen, now the lead scientist for Project First Light, nodded to her team. The message flickered to life in the air between them. "We are the Concordat, a union of 712 species. Our civilization spans 3 galactic arms. We face a crisis that threatens all sentient life. We have observed humanity's rapid advancement and unique approach to quantum mechanics. We come seeking aid and offering partnership. Coordinates follow. Time is critical." "What do you make of it, Doctor?" Torres asked, his eyes never leaving the floating text. Sarah Chen adjusted her glasses, a habit she maintained despite modern corrective procedures. "The physics checks out, Admiral. Their description of the crisis involves quantum field disruptions we've theorized about but never encountered. The math is beautiful. Advanced beyond anything we've developed, but built on principles we understand." Torres rubbed his chin. "And that doesn't concern you? That an advanced civilization needs our help with something we've only theorized about?" "Actually," Chen smiled, "it makes perfect sense. Sometimes fresh eyes see solutions others miss. Think about how often scientific breakthroughs come from cross-disciplinary approaches." The Admiral's aide, Lieutenant James Corey, entered the room with a tablet displaying updates from the UN Security Council. "Sir, they've reached a decision. We're to make contact, but carefully. A joint civilian-military mission. They want you to lead it." Torres nodded slowly. "And our new quantum drive?" "The Hyperion is ready," Chen replied. "First successful test last week. We can reach the coordinates within 72 hours. The next 2 days were a blur of preparation. The Hyperion, humanity's first true faster-than-light vessel, was loaded with Earth's best scientists, diplomats, and a carefully selected military contingent. As they prepared to depart, Torres gathered the crew of 300 in the ship's main assembly hall. "What we're about to do will change human history forever," he began, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. "We go to help, but we go prepared. Earth has entrusted us not just with first contact, but with humanity's safety. Stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, we represent the best of what humanity can be." The Hyperion's quantum drive hummed to life, creating a bubble of altered spacetime around the ship. As they prepared to make the jump, Sarah Chen approached Torres on the bridge. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the signal pattern again. There's something elegant about their math, almost too elegant, like they knew exactly how to speak to us." Torres turned to her, his expression grave. "You think they've been watching us?" "I think," Chen chose her words carefully, "that we should be ready for anything." The ship's AI announced the final countdown. Torres took his command chair, watching the stars through the main viewport. "Dr. Chen, record everything. Lieutenant Corey, shields at maximum the moment we exit quantum space. Let's go meet our new friends and hope they're really friendly." The Hyperion vanished in a flash of quantum fire, leaving Earth behind. Humanity's first steps into a larger galaxy had begun, But as they traveled through the quantum corridor, Torres couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something far more complex than a simple cry for help. What waited at those coordinates would either forge humanity's first interstellar alliance or reveal that in the cosmic game of survival, trust came with a price tag none of them were prepared to pay. The Hyperion emerged from quantum space into a scene of breathtaking grandeur and unsettling power. A massive structure hung in the void, a lattice of crystalline towers and gleaming metal spanning hundreds of kilometers. Ships of various designs moved through the structure like blood cells through veins, each one larger than the largest vessels humanity had ever built. Energy readings are off the charts, Dr. Chen reported, her instruments struggling to process the data. The structure appears to be harvesting quantum potential directly from spacetime. Before Torres could respond, a transmission cut through their communications. Vessel Hyperion, welcome to Nexus Prime. Please follow the designated path to Docking Station 17. The voice was eerily perfect, as if generated by an AI that had studied human speech patterns for centuries. As they approached, Torres ordered maximum magnification on the main viewer. The surface of the structure seemed to shift and flow, more like liquid metal than solid construction. Dr. Chen, are you seeing this? The entire station appears to be made of programmable matter, she whispered, fascination warring with concern in her voice. Technology we've only dreamed about. The Hyperion docked with precise guidance from the station's systems. A delegation of humans, led by Torres and Chen, made their way through the airlock. The air inside the station tasted like mint and metal, and the gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth normal. They were met by beings that defied easy description. The closest analog Torres could think of was living crystal. Their bodies seemed to be composed of translucent, geometric shapes that shifted and realigned as they moved. Light pulsed through their forms in complex patterns. One of them stepped forward, its form consolidating into a more humanoid shape. I am Nexus Guide Prisma. Welcome to the heart of the Concordat. We have much to discuss, and time grows short. The humans were led through corridors that seemed to form just ahead of their steps and dissolve behind them. They entered a vast chamber where the walls displayed real-time images of different parts of the galaxy. At the center stood a holographic representation of what appeared to be space-time itself, showing alarming distortions and tears. This, Prisma gestured to the display, is our crisis. The quantum fabric of space-time is unraveling. Our civilization's reliance on quantum energy harvesting has created a cascade effect we cannot stop. But you, humanity, might hold the key. Dr. Chen stepped closer to the hologram, her eyes wide. These patterns, they're similar to theoretical models we developed, but never implemented. We found the energy costs too high, the risks too great. Precisely. Prisma's form rippled with what might have been approval. Your species chose a different path. While we pursued maximum efficiency through quantum manipulation, you developed alternative approaches. Your primitive methods might be our salvation. Torres felt the trap closing before it was sprung. And what exactly do you want from us? We propose an exchange, Prisma said. We will share our technology, our knowledge, elevate humanity to the stars. In return, we require access to Earth's quantum resonance field. Your planet possesses unique properties, a natural quantum stabilization effect we've never seen before. Access to Earth. Torres's voice hardened. What kind of access? The crystalline beings shifted, their lights pulsing faster. We would need to establish quantum harvesting stations. Minor facilities, really, perhaps covering only 20% of your planet's surface. Lieutenant Corey's hand instinctively moved toward his weapon. Torres gestured for him to stand down, but the message had been received. The Concordat's representatives flickered with patterns that might have been amusement or contempt. You misunderstand, Prisma continued. This is not a negotiation. The quantum cascade will reach Earth within 5 years. Without our protection, your world will be torn apart at the subatomic level. We offer salvation and advancement. The price is minimal. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her scientific curiosity replaced by cold anger. You caused this crisis, didn't you? Your quantum harvesting created the cascade effect. Now you're looking for fresh resources to exploit. The crystalline beings grew still, their light patterns turning deep red. Careful, Doctor. Accusations without evidence are unbecoming of a scientific mind. We offer you the stars. The alternative is extinction. Torres met Prisma's gaze, or what passed for it. We'll need to consult with Earth's governments before making any decisions. Of course, Prisma's form shifted back to its more fluid state. You have one Earth day to decide. Choose wisely. As they were escorted back to their ship, Chen whispered to Torres, "Admiral, I noticed something. Their quantum field manipulation technology. It's incredibly advanced, but it follows predictable patterns, almost rigid in its perfection." Torres nodded slightly, like they've optimized themselves into a corner. Keep working on that thought, Doctor. I have a feeling we're going to need every advantage we can get. Back aboard the Hyperion, Torres called an emergency meeting of his command staff. The Concordat's true motives were clear now. They weren't looking for partners, they were looking for resources, and Earth was just their latest target. The question was, how do you outmaneuver beings who could reshape matter with a thought? The answer, Torres suspected, lay in the very human trait the Concordat seemed to dismiss, the ability to think outside their perfectly optimized boxes. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept in 36 hours, but her mind was racing faster than ever. The Hyperion's quantum lab had become her sanctuary as she pored over the data collected from Nexus Prime. Lieutenant Corey stood guard at the door. Torres's orders after several crystalline observers had attempted to access restricted areas of the ship. "Look at this," she called to Curry, projecting a hologram of the Concordat's quantum field patterns. "Their technology is perfect, too perfect. Every quantum manipulation follows exact mathematical progressions. No variation, no adaptation." Curry moved closer, his military training giving way to genuine curiosity. "And that's bad. It's their weakness." Chen's eyes gleamed with the light of discovery. "They've optimized their technology to the point of brittleness. Like a perfect crystal, beautiful, powerful, but shatter it in just the right place." Their conversation was interrupted by the ship's eye. Emergency meeting called by Admiral Torres in Conference Room 1. Priority Alpha. When they arrived, Torres was already addressing the gathered senior staff. The main screen showed a transmission from Earth. Dozens of crystalline structures had appeared in orbit around their homeworld. "They're not waiting for our answer." Torres's voice was tight with controlled anger. "The Concordat has already begun positioning quantum harvesting stations. Their message is clear: submit or be destroyed. But we have something they don't expect." Chen stepped forward, her fatigue forgotten. "Their quantum technology is based on perfect harmonics, like a trillion musical instruments playing in exact synchronization. Beautiful, powerful. But what happens when you introduce discord?" Torres finished, catching her meaning. "Like throwing a wrong note into a perfect symphony." Chen nodded eagerly. "Exactly. Their systems can't handle irregularity. They've engineered that capability right out of their technology in pursuit of perfect efficiency. But Earth's quantum field, it's naturally chaotic, adaptive. It's why they want it so badly. And it's why we might be able to stop them." The ship's tactical officer, Commander Maria Santos, leaned forward. "How do we weaponize that?" "We don't," Chen replied. "We just need to remind the quantum field of its natural state. Earth's resonance pattern is like a living thing, chaotic but self-balancing. The Concordat's attempting to impose their rigid patterns on it. If we can disrupt their control frequency, the field will snap back to its natural state," Torres finished. "Like a rubber band." With their harvesting stations already powered up and connected, Chen added, the feedback could cascade through their entire network. Lieutenant Corey's eyes widened. "You're talking about turning their own perfect system against them." This is why they needed us, Torres said quietly. They can't work with natural quantum fields anymore. They've lost the ability to handle chaos, to adapt. Their perfection has become their prison. A sudden vibration ran through the ship. On the main screen, more crystalline structures were appearing around Earth. The Concordat was accelerating their timeline. How long to modify our quantum drive to generate the disruption pattern? Torres asked. Chen ran calculations on her tablet. 4 hours for the modifications. But Admiral, we'll have only one shot. Once they realize what we're doing, they'll eliminate the threat. Torres nodded. So we'll have to strike at all their harvesting stations simultaneously, and we'll need a distraction. Commander Santos smiled grimly. Leave that to me. Earth's defense forces may be primitive by their standards, but we know how to make noise. Torres stood, addressing the room. They think they've backed us into a corner, but they don't understand what humans do best. Adapt, improvise, find solutions where they see only perfect patterns. Start the modifications. We have 4 hours to save Earth. As the team dispersed to their tasks, Chen caught Torres's arm. Admiral, if this works, it won't just disable their harvesting stations. The feedback loop could destabilize their entire civilization's quantum technology. We'll be destroying their way of life. Torres met her gaze steadily. They gave us no choice. Doctor, sometimes the only way to break chains is to shatter them completely. Let's just hope we're ready for what comes after. The next 4 hours were a blur of activity. Chen and her team worked frantically to modify the quantum drive, while Santos coordinated with Earth's defense forces. The crystalline observers became more aggressive in their attempts to access restricted areas, sensing something was wrong. Through it all, Torres watched the tactical display as more and more harvesting stations appeared around Earth. The Concordat was building a cage of crystal and quantum energy around humanity's home. But they had forgotten one crucial thing. Humanity had spent its entire existence learning to break free of limitations. As Chen made the final modifications to the quantum drive, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Concordat had finally realized something was wrong. Their perfect timing had run out. The time for subtlety was over. Now it was time to show these beings of crystal and mathematical perfection why humanity had survived every crisis it had ever faced, not through perfection, but through the beautiful chaos of adaptation and determination. The Hyperion shuddered as another quantum pulse from the Concordat ships washed over its shields. In the engine room, Dr. Chen's fingers flew over the controls, making final adjustments to their modified quantum drive. The ship's AI reported shield strength dropping to 40%. Status report. Torres's voice crackled through the comm system. Almost there, Chen replied, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. The drive modifications are complete, but we need to get closer to the primary harvesting station. Their quantum field is strongest there. It's our best chance to trigger the cascade. On the bridge, Torres watched as Earth's combined fleet engaged the crystalline ships. Conventional weapons seemed to pass right through the alien vessels, but they served their purpose, keeping the Concordat distracted. Commander Santos had coordinated with Earth's military to execute a brilliant plan. While most of the fleet drew the aliens' attention with frontal attacks, smaller ships were conducting hit-and-run raids using experimental electromagnetic pulse weapons. They're not doing any real damage, Corey observed from his tactical station. They don't need to, Torres replied. Look at the Concordat's response patterns. The crystalline ships moved with mathematical precision, responding to each attack with perfectly calculated countermeasures. But their very perfection made them predictable. The human fleet was learning, adapting, finding gaps in their algorithmic defense patterns. Their reactions are getting slower, Santos noted. They have to recalculate their entire response matrix every time we change tactics. A new alarm blared. The crystalline observers trapped aboard the Hyperion had finally broken free of their containment fields. They were attempting to interface with the ship's systems. Chen, Torres called out, we're out of time. Whatever you're going to do it now. In the engine room, Chen made the final connections. The modified quantum drive hummed with an unsettling resonance that set teeth on edge and made instruments flicker. Course plotted to the primary station. Drive spooling up. Admiral, this might get rough. Torres opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, brace for quantum transition. Engineering, divert all power to the drive and forward shields. The Hyperion surged forward, its modified drive creating ripples in space-time that even the Concordat's sensors couldn't properly track. They approached the massive primary harvesting station, a crystalline structure larger than anything humanity had ever built. "They're realizing what we're doing," Santos reported. "All Concordat ships are breaking off engagement, moving to intercept." "Too late," Chen whispered. She activated the modified drive at full power. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The Hyperion's quantum field, deliberately destabilized and chaotic, slammed into the perfect harmonics of the harvesting station. Like a drop of water hitting perfectly still pond, ripples of quantum disruption spread outward. The crystalline observers aboard the Hyperion suddenly froze, their perfect forms developing tiny cracks. On the main viewer, the harvesting station's surface began to shimmer and distort. "It's working." Chen's voice was filled with wonder and horror. "The cascade is spreading through their quantum network. Their entire system is trying to compensate, but it can't handle the chaos." Torres watched as the crystalline ships began to break apart, their perfect forms unable to maintain coherence in the face of quantum chaos. The harvesting stations around Earth started to disintegrate, not with violence, but with an almost beautiful dissolution. Through the ship's speakers came a sound that would haunt them all, the collective voice of the Concordat, experiencing disorder for the first time in millennia. It was both a scream and a song, terror and revelation mixed together. "Admiral," Chen called out, her voice urgent, "the cascade is spreading faster than expected. It's affecting all quantum-based technology in the system, including our drive." Torres understood immediately. They had hoped to disable the Concordat's technology, but they had underestimated how deeply the quantum network connected everything. Their victory might come at a steep price. "All hands, abandon ship, get to the escape pods. Engineer teams, initiate core shutdown procedures." Torres turned to his bridge crew. "Santos, coordinate with Earth's fleet for emergency pickup. Curry, make sure all sections are evacuating." As chaos erupted around them, one of the crystalline observers managed to reform itself enough to speak. Its voice was different now, filled with something that might have been understanding. "You chose this," it said to Torres. "Chose destruction over perfection. Why?" Torres looked at the dissolving alien, seeing not an enemy now, but a being that had forgotten something essential about life itself. "Because imperfection is how we grow. Chaos is how we adapt. You forgot that in your pursuit of perfection." The observer's form rippled. "Perhaps we did. But what you've done, the cascade will reach our homeworlds. Trillions will have to learn to live without quantum technology, without perfection." "They'll learn," Torres replied, "just like we did. Sometimes breaking something perfect is the only way to make something better." The Hyperion's quantum drive was failing, its systems shutting down one by one. But as Torres coordinated the evacuation, he knew they had done more than just save Earth. They had reminded an ancient civilization of something they had forgotten, that true strength lies not in perfection, but in the ability to embrace chaos and change. 1 year after the quantum cascade, Earth's night sky looked different. Where once there had been only stars, now aurora-like quantum distortions painted ribbons of light across the darkness, remnants of the cascade that had brought down the Concordat's empire of perfection. Admiral Torres stood at the window of the New Earth Defense Command Center, watching those lights dance. Dr. Chen worked at a console behind him, analyzing data from their latest deep space probes. "The reports from the former Concordat worlds are fascinating," she said, not looking up from her work. "Their society is transforming. Without quantum technology, they're having to rediscover simpler solutions. Some are even experimenting with analog technology. Are they adapting? Torres asked, thinking of the crystalline beings who had thought their perfection made them invulnerable. Better than anyone expected. Turns out, when you strip away the perfect quantum shell, they're not so different from us. They're learning to appreciate imperfection, to find beauty in chaos. Lieutenant Corey entered the room, carrying reports from Earth's first diplomatic mission to a former Concordat world. Sir, you'll want to see this. The Crystalline Assembly. What's left of their leadership, they're requesting a formal alliance with Earth. Torres turned from the window, surprise evident on his face. An alliance? After everything that happened? They say we taught them something valuable. Corey read from the report. That progress isn't just about advancing technology, but about maintaining the ability to adapt, to change, to sometimes take steps backward to move forward. Commander Santos joined them, adding her own insight. Our primitive electromagnetic weapons. They're studying them now, not to replace quantum technology, but to understand different approaches. They're calling it hybrid innovation, combining the best of both paths. Chen pulled up a holographic display showing the status of Earth's quantum field. The natural chaos had stabilized, but it was different now, changed by its interaction with the Concordat's technology. We've changed too, she observed. The quantum cascade affected us in ways we're still discovering. But unlike them, we already knew how to adapt to change. Torres walked to the center of the room, looking at the assembled team that had helped save humanity from becoming just another perfect, imprisoned civilization. So what happens now? Now, Chen smiled. We help them rebuild. Not as perfect beings of crystal and quantum energy, but as partners who understand that true advancement comes from embracing both order and chaos. A transmission came through. One of the new hybrid communication systems that combine traditional radio waves with stabilized quantum fields. The face that appeared was crystalline, but imperfect now, showing signs of adaptation and change. Greetings, Earth Command, the being said, its voice carrying emotions that would have been impossible in their former perfect state. We seek your guidance in an interesting problem. Some of our younger ones have discovered what you call art. Creating things that serve no practical purpose except to be beautiful in their imperfection. We do not understand it, but we wish to learn. Torres exchanged glances with his team, seeing the same amazement in their eyes. The Concordat, who had once sought to impose their perfect pattern on the galaxy, were now asking to learn about the beauty of imperfection. We would be honored to teach you, Torres replied, and to learn from you in return. After all, that's what partnership is about, growing together, mistakes and all. As the transmission ended, Shen approached Torres with a new set of readings. The quantum distortions are starting to show interesting patterns, not perfect like before, but not completely chaotic either. It's almost like the universe itself is finding a balance between order and chaos. Torres nodded, understanding the deeper meaning. The Concordat had sought to impose perfect order on a chaotic universe, while humanity had learned to dance between the two extremes. In the end, it wasn't superior technology or military might that had saved Earth. It was the very human ability to embrace imperfection, to adapt, to find strength in the balance between chaos and order. Outside the window, the quantum lights continued their dance across the night sky, no longer a reminder of conflict, but a symbol of transformation. Humanity had not just broken free from the chains of imposed perfection. They had helped an ancient civilization remember what it meant to be truly alive. You know, Torres said to his team, they asked us why we chose destruction over perfection. But that wasn't the choice at all. We chose evolution over stagnation, growth over imprisonment. And in doing so, we helped them make the same choice. As if in response, the quantum lights flared brighter, their patterns beautiful in their imperfection. A constant reminder that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in achieving perfection, but in the courage to embrace change, chaos, and the endless possibility of growth.